All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the May 10th edition of the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. Thanks for joining. We have a special presentation today on artificial intelligence, so thanks for showing up for that. Just a reminder that the event is being recorded, not immediately available. Jeff Morris is still recovering, and we're going to let him figure out how to get those uploaded. So we are recording them, and they should be available in the future, but they're just not uploaded yet. All right. Hopefully you got a success story. We'll do our 30-second introductions. Then Rosina will provide us our career tip of the week. She is our resident recruiter friend. Talk a little bit about the pit crew, courtesy of Walt Glass, and then he'll talk about his interview success workshop. And then we'll dive into our main presentation today. Just a reminder, Jeff, like I said, he's still recovering from his brain injury. Hope to have him back soon, but no ETA as of yet. But he started this group back in 2007, created Career DFW in 2008 for everybody else. CareerUSA.org for everybody else in the US in 2012. Wrote a great book, What I've Learned About Your Job Search, which is available on Amazon. And he's been a member of the pit crew since 2017. So keep him in your prayers. Any success stories? Anybody in the room land this week? Anybody online? All right. Time for 30-second introductions. We'll start with the folks in the room. I'll go first. Matt Keelan, IT VP Director. I help companies manage their IT budget more effectively, and I keep hackers out. Matt Keelan. While we're doing introductions, please plop your 10-second intro into the meeting chat box. And Jason, are you going to share your presentation? I forgot to ask you. I mean with the attendees later. Okay. Okay, so Jason has graciously agreed to share his slides after the fact. So make sure that you either sign the sheet in the room and put your email address on there, or put your email address in the chat, and we'll make sure you get a copy after the presentation. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jody Dahlberg. I'm the IT Operations Manager. I lead teams in problem resolution and project advancements. Jody Dahlberg.
Thank you, Jody.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Steve Sulkin. I'm a Director of Process Improvement. I'm looking for contacts at Texas Health Resources, either in Plano or Dallas. I'm Steve Sulkin.
Matt, can you have them come up to the camera?
Which we are.
We are on the camera.
All I see is you.
Oh, I can see.
Change your view so that you can see multiple.
Yeah, that's
I know.
Okay, thanks. I'll work on that.
Yeah, we're on two different computers.
Hi, good morning. My name is Becca Alexander. This is my first time.
Welcome.
I recently left PepsiCo, and I'm searching for a role in strategic portfolio management or project management governance at a high level. I'm still working on an elevator speech. I'm looking for something in the Frisco Plano area. Thank you.
Okay. Talk to me after. I have some resources for you.
Hi, I'm Audrey Russell. I'm a more recent college graduate looking for a position in preferably public relations. So if you know anybody like Edelman's or Golan, that would be great. Audrey Russell again.
Thanks, Audrey.
Hi. Hi, I'm Timothy Anderson. It's my first time. I'm looking for business analysis or CRM administration analyst roles. And my top target companies would be Fidelity, Charles Schwab, or City Fort Worth, because I'm looking to move to the North Fort Worth area, but I'm open to anything in like the Denton or West Collin County area to work. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Nope.
One more. All right, let's see, am I in focus? I am. My name is Jason Poulopoulos, call me Jason. I have spent about 18 years in sales and technology. My focus has been to land a job either in leading teams and or going back out there and slinging revenue. It's been rough with revenue, but I'm excited about that. I've been targeting companies such as a lot of the cyber security vendors, such as like CyberFox and others that are doing that, because I find that to be a very important topic. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Did that get everybody in the room? You want to introduce yourself?
Ladies first.
Ladies first. All right, we got one more in the room.
I don't even know what. Oh.
All right. Think I'm good. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name's William McLaughlin, currently seeking a data analyst role. I help companies do the research necessary to help them improve their bottom line. I'm currently seeking contacts at CoreLogic and NTT Data. Again, my name's William McLaughlin.
Let's chat about NTT later. All right. For those online, Patty.
Hi, everybody. I'm Patty Bashy. I'm based here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a director of account management or client service or customer success, depending on how the company calls it. Working in marketing research firms, those are my targets. I can help build relationships and also grow the business overall. So looking forward to connecting with you if I'm not already connected. Thank you, Patty Bashy.
Thanks, Patty. Steve Rowan.
Hi, my name is Steve Rowe, and I'm a retired .NET developer, and so I'm not really looking for a new job. I'm retired now.
Well, thanks for joining us and lending your expertise. Glenn Meggs.
Hello, everyone. My name is Glenn Meggs. I'm a retired PhD mathematical scientist with background in signal processing across multiple sensor platforms, currently facilitating the CSN engineering focus group. Glenn Meggs.
Mark Bamford.
Good morning. My name is Mark Bamford, Vice President of Operations on the manufacturing side. I'm looking for an opportunity in manufacturing, bring a lot to the table, specialize in helping companies grow from small businesses into corporate entities. My target company is MP Materials in Fort Worth, located in Haslet. My name is Mark Bamford.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Farron Bennett.
Hey, good morning. My first time here. I'd hoped to be there with you live, but some things came up this morning. 26 years with a global manufacturing company in brand management and corporate communications. Repatriated about 8 years ago and specialized in executive communications, speech writing, and corporate communications. So looking for something maybe all the way to Dallas, but that's a long drive. So Plano, Frisco, McKinney area. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Farron. Pooja.
Hi, everyone. Pooja Patel. I am seeking a role as Director of Continuous Improvement or Process Improvement. I help streamline processes to make them more efficient and ensure that they are designed with making sure the customer is at the center of it. I need contacts at insurance companies. That's my main target for now. I have contacts at insurance companies, and my name is Pooja Patel.
Thank you, Pooja. Eddie?
Sure.
Hey, Farrell. My name is Eduardo Tei. Everyone call me Eddie. I do business continuity. Sorry. I do business continuity and disaster recovery. My last work was with Assurant. I need to contact any company, any big industry. International companies are my target. I fluent in Spanish and English, as you can see. Repeat, my name is Raúl Eduardo Otegui. Everyone call me Eddie. Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie. Chandra Thomas?
My name is Chandra Thomas. This is my first time back in North Dallas Career Focus Group.
Welcome.
Thank you. And I'm currently working now, but I'm looking somewhere in the proofreading, data entry, and insurance type setting. And again, my name is Chandra Thomas.
So you're like an editor?
Not an editor, just proofread.
Proofreading, okay, and insurance, okay. All right, well, come back.
Thank you.
Rhonda?
Good morning. This is Rhonda Sellers. I apologize. My camera's not working. I have too many things open here. But I'm Rhonda Sellers, a construction specifications writer. I write architectural specifications for construction projects. Typically, I work with architects in-house, or I could be working with a consulting firm. I'm identifying my target firms via informational interviews. I'm Rhonda Sellers.
Thanks, Rhonda. Rosina?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Rosina Gallman, and I am the host of the Career Tip of the Week, which you'll hear from me in a few minutes. I'm currently, my profession is as a senior talent acquisition consultant, or otherwise known as a senior recruiter, and that's the role I'm looking to continue looking for. My current companies, I'm looking in 3 different industries right now, but I am open to a variety of other industries. The ones I'm targeting right now are management consulting. So in those industries, I'm looking at Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, ADP. I'm also looking in dental insurance. So for those, I'm looking at the target companies are Delta Dental, MetLife, and Cigna. And I'm also looking in the industries of higher education. University of North Texas, University of Texas in Dallas, and Collin College. Again, my name is Rosina Gallman and Senior Talent Acquisition Consultant.
Thank you, Rosina. Scott Boudreau?
Come on.
I saw you go off mute. Oh, you're back on mute. We'll come back to you, Scott. Kelly McLean?
Good morning, Matt. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kelly McLean. I develop training in the Dallas area, and I'm looking forward to hearing today's content on AI and getting ideas on how I might be able to apply that to the learning and development space. Thank you. I'm Kelly McLean in Dallas.
Thank you, Kelly. James?
Matt, you calling on me?
Yep.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jim Andre. I'm from Chicago. I'm a senior project program manager. For the last 20 years, I've just finished up a recent engagement in telecommunications for US Cellular. I'm looking to stay in the telecom space. Just recently accepted another contract engagement with a telecommunications company out of Tampa, Florida. So currently going through the onboarding process. So hopefully we'll be starting in another week or so. So again, this is Jim Andre. If I can help any other project managers out there, please reach out to me.
That's great. A soft landing.
Yeah,
Like-
soft landing, man.
Any chance that contract turns into a permanent position?
I'm hoping so. I'm really hoping so, Matt. I'll find out in another 6 months.
Oh, long-term contract. That's
Well,
fantastic.
yeah, the initial contract 6 months. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Congratulations.
Thanks, Matt.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks, Patty.
All right. Back to Scott. You got your mic working? All right. Well, let us know when you get your mic.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, there you
I
go.
got muted and waiting, and then I got kicked off. I had to join again.
Huh.
So, good morning, everybody. Scott Boudreau, Certified Planning Inventory Management. Looking for a supply chain job in central New Jersey or remotely specializing in inventory control or production planning. If it has a part number, I can manage it. If it doesn't, I'll create it. Scott Boudreau.
Sounds great. All right. Did I miss anybody online? All right. A reminder that Jeff's careerdfw.org website has a lot of resources for job seekers, as well as the calendar that we all know and love, where we can find everything. I know I go there Sunday night and I look at everything that's going on for the week, and I pick and choose what I'm going to join and click on it and see all the particulars, the Zoom link or in-person address. And then for those of you outside the DFW area, careerusa.org should be your destination for all things job seekers. And there's that calendar that we love so much. There's an agenda view that's a little less crowded, a little easier to read, by the way. And I'm still working on getting access to that so that I can get it updated for Jeff. All right. And now it's time for our tip of the week. Oh. I know I saved it. Five, 10. Here we go. So for those of you like me that find hashtags a little mysterious, our resident recruiter, Rosina, is going to make them less mysterious. Take it away, Rosina.
Not a problem. All right. Well, I hope y'all enjoy hashtags because this article, it was nice and simple. And so, like I said, I hope you enjoy it. All right. So how hashtags are changing the job search game. This article is by Scott Gardner, and I thought he did a really good job. He's a certified resume writer as well as a certified interview coach. And so he's empowering professionals with the tools to advance your careers. In the digital landscape, social media is not just for staying connected with friends and family. It has also become a powerful tool for job seekers and employers alike. The use of hashtags, a phenomenon that began on X, which is formerly Twitter, and has since spread across multiple social media platforms, is revolutionizing the way we search for jobs and connect with potential employers. Here's how using hashtags can open up a new career opportunity for you. The power of hashtags in job searching. Hashtags can help categorize content on social media, making it easier for users to find posts related to specific topics. For job seekers, this means a more efficient way to access job listings, career advice, and networking opportunities. By including relevant hashtags in your search, you can uncover a wide range of job openings and industry insights that may not be available on traditional job boards. Now, there are the top 20 hashtags for job seekers, and it's listed here. So to maximize your job search efforts, here are top 20 hashtags you should be following. Number 1, hashtag hiring now for the most current job openings. Number 2, hashtag job opening to discover new opportunities across industries. Number 3, hashtag now hiring, another tag for finding the latest vacancies. Number 4, hashtag jobs, a broad hashtag for general job postings. Number 5, hashtag career opportunities. That's for a wide range of career possibilities. Number 6, hashtag employment to explore various employment opportunities. Number 7, hashtag job search for tips and job listings. Number 8, hashtag job listing to find detailed job posts. Number 9, hashtag job posting, similar to hashtag job listing with potentially different opportunities. Number 10 is hashtag work from home for remote and telecommuting positions. Number 11 is hashtag remote work, another tag for finding remote opportunities. Number 12, hashtag hiring. Companies use this when looking to recruit, and typically when they're posting jobs, that's the first hashtag they will list in the posting. Number 13, hashtag recruiting to find posts from recruiters. Number 14, hashtag career for career advice and opportunities. Number 15, hashtag job hunt for a comprehensive job searching approach. Number 16, hashtag job tips, tips on application processes and interviews. Number 17, hashtag career advice, expert advice on career growth and transitions. Number 18, hashtag tech jobs for opportunities in the tech industry. Number 19, hashtag marketing jobs for careers in marketing. And then number 20, hashtag creative jobs for those looking for roles in creative fields. So leveraging hashtags in your job search. First, you want to research and follow relevant hashtags. Start with a list above and tailor your search based on your industry and career interests. Number 2, you want to engage with content. Don't just scroll past, like, comment, and share posts that resonate with you. You want to have engagement because engagement can increase your visibility to potential employers. Number 3, you want to use hashtags in your posts. When sharing your own content, whether it's career achievements, portfolio pieces, or job-seeking posts, include relevant hashtags to increase their reach. And number 4, you want to network. Social media platforms are ideal for networking. Connect with industry leaders, join discussions, and reach out to potential mentors in your field. Now, tips for effective hashtag use. First, you want to be specific. Use hashtags that are specific to your industry or your job type to narrow down your search. Second, you want to stay updated. Keep an eye on trending hashtags in your field for the latest opportunities and insights. And third, you want to balance broad and niche tags. Combine general job search hashtags with niche ones to cast a wide net while still targeting specific areas of interest. The job search process can be daunting, but by effectively utilizing hashtags, you can uncover a wealth of opportunities that you might not find elsewhere. Social media platforms offer a unique way to connect directly with hiring managers and companies, giving you a leg up in your job search. And then remember to tailor your hashtag to use to your specific industry and career goals. Engage actively with the community and maintain a professional online presence. Now, this article just kind of gives a quick overview and some of the top 20 hashtags to use as a job seeker. And then next week, I'm going to hopefully have what I have found is a couple of videos that would be really good to use that would show you more clearly how to fill in your direct information and have some sample hashtag searches to use. That way you guys can really focus in on learning and developing your hashtag use along with some Boolean searches as well. So I hope you find hashtags interesting, and please enjoy this article as well as some upcoming ones that I'll have on hashtags as well. Have a fantastic weekend and celebrate all the moms this weekend as well. Take care.
For sure. Thank you, Rosina. Does anyone have any questions for Rosina? All right. As usual, we'll be sure to send out this document in addition to the PowerPoint to the group. Again, if I have your email address either on the sign-in sheet or in the chat. All right. Mr. Walt Glass, tell us about the practice interview team and give us some words of wisdom and maybe a poem.
Another poem?
I'm sorry. After the first 100, I come to
Greetings,
expect it.
everyone, and to everyone in the room. I don't like talking to everybody with my back, so greetings to you, Walt Glass. So I got two things to talk about today. One is the Dallas Pick Through, the practice interview team. The whole idea of the practice, both in the workshop that I do, which I'll talk about in a minute, is to gain confidence and skills for really successful and enjoyable interview in the hiring process. So the Dallas Pit Crew meets in person at Christ United Methodist Church. It's actually where we are today, and on Court Road, corner of Court and Parker in Plano. On the first, second, third, and fifth Wednesdays, we meet in person, and on the fourth, we do online, and that's to allow people that are not in the DFW area to also participate, to also be interviewed and to observe as well. So we're glad to have you practice with that. It is a mock interview. You will have panelists. Most panelists are job seekers. They've hired people before. The panelists will research your job description and your resume, as well as the company you're looking for. When you actually send in your resume and job description, you can say this is a sample job description. That'll save us a lot of time from researching the company. But let us know which one it is, and we'll be glad to get you scheduled. So send that email in. You can also, it's the dallaspickcrew@gmail.com. I'm glad to have you participate with that. So sign up. I know there's a lot of people being booked. We're having like 3 people a week in person, and so I'm glad to have you participate. And we're always looking for panelists. So if you would like to serve as a panelist to help others in their job search, that would be great. So the next thing I want to talk about is the interview success workshop. That's it. If you want to learn how to sell yourself. When I was looking for a job, I worked for a company for 25 years. And when I was looking for a job, I had an interview, and it's terrible, really bad. So I decided I better do some deep dive into interviewing from the other side of the table. So yeah, I've been on the hiring side, very comfortable, very relaxed, in charge, in control. Sitting on the other side of the table was not a very happy camper thing. So what I decided to do was develop a workshop that says, what are we really buying as a company? So that's what we want to sell to. And I developed the three-legged stool model. I am, I do, I help. It's who we are, our soft skills, our characteristics, our personality. It's what we do and our hard skills, our actions, activities, and history, and how we combine those for how we can help. I'll see a lot of I do's in interviews, a little bit of the I ams, but very little of the I help. Same thing for resumes. We should be putting that in the resume as well. So how do we learn how to do that? Well, the workshop is just that. It's a very informal situation. I'd really like to enjoy having you enjoy the practice and the learning part. So it's a learning interview. It's not really a practice interview. So we learn how to sell, how to differentiate ourselves very positive, how to be memorable so that when others are being interviewed, they remember us and we stand out. So that's that QR code will start an email to me, to my Yahoo email address. Send that to me. I usually do it on Tuesdays on 9 to 11 Central online. Just send me that and I'll let you know some availability and we can get you on the schedule. Be glad to have you participate. So I'm going to talk to the group for the point.
Sounds good.
Right. is interviewing like the day you got word that in your own lookalike contest, you came in third? Well, don't delay. Come practice today. It'll be the best interview hiring managers have heard.
Awesome. Thank you all.
If you have questions during the day, yeah.
All right. If you're in the room, today's lunch will be at Jason's Deli, right down the road, west of here on Parker. And now it's time for the main event. Jason.
Let's do this. Yeah, so I missed the entire first slide that pointing at, like a typical sales guy.
Uh-oh.
No, that's good. Hello, I want to make sure everyone can hear me. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Yeah, you can make it. Good stuff.
Down arrow, click, or use the clicker.
There we go. Cool. All right. I was doing a session with Jody recently where I have been to a few of the groups. I'm hearing a lot about AI. There's a lot of things about AI. So let me back up. I have been out of work for about 2 years. When I left my job, which was at Red Hat, right? Great company, was bought by IBM. Not as good. But it was a heck of an experience to work there. When you work for a corporation with about 200,000 people, I was excited about the break, learning new tech, because I am this weird hybrid of somebody that's done 18 years and millions of dollars of sales, but I have a degree in computer science and mathematics. I am a weird breed, which means imagine me coming off of a sales career where I'm handling $200 million a year. As soon as I got out, what was the first thing I needed to do? Start working on the computer science, start working on the analytics. And then this AI thing blew up. And when I say AI thing blew up, I'm talking about the marketing behind the actual name AI. It is marketing. Ignore the name. When I think of AI, it is more science fiction. As you can see, if anyone recognizes, this is 2001 Space Odyssey. But when I say it is a marketing term, as you'll see it out there in usually 3 different formats. Gen AI, which is GEN AI, generative AI, or just ChatGPT, right? Or GPT. You'll hear those things. Now, the reality is AI was developed in the 50s. It's called machine language. Machine language is basically nothing more than if I have a circle, if I have a square, and if I look at this one and look at that one and put it into a device and then look at it and trace it, can I tell which one is which? By the way, AI today is not much different. Number 2, I think it's important to bring up with AI, it's not the term, the marketing term that I think that's important to everyone in this room. What's going to be important and the purpose of the session will be to take a topic that I feel like it's like the cloud. Everyone saw it, put in the cloud. It's a lot more complex than that when you're on that side of the house. But what's changed and how AI has progressed as I go on LinkedIn, you can't get away from it. Everything is on there. But again, ignore the marketing. At the point of the session today will be, we're going to take this huge thing, we're going to break it down into smaller parts, and then how does it pertain? Like when I talked to Jody, he was in operations, technical operations. Immediately talked about tools. Why are they using it? Because Jody had a great question. What's the difference between that and a SQL database? Actually, it's hard to explain that when you really get down to it because the technology is so different. But the point today, and if you can see by the joke, let's chat about the alphabet calculator. The alphabet calculator, I was 4 months into starting to do development on AI. I didn't even know how to describe it. Somebody one day came to me and said, alphabet calculator. And I was like, all right. I can see that.
I was wondering where that came from.
And not only that, but you got the let's chat, which is the difference. OpenAI turned around and got 400 billion parameters from the web. According to them, showed up, which is interesting because the rest of it would be infringement. They brought it in and made it into a chat interface. The one thing that everyone in this room's used, I've used AOL chats when I was a kid. It's been around, it's tried and true. And it actually, the kids with their phones all the way to even my dad uses chat, right? This is a technology, that's all OpenAI did. That's all they did, which is the maker of ChatGPT. Now, another neat fact, GBT, the letters. G is generative. You got your P, which is almost a performance, and then it's called a transformer. Now, sounds intimidating, but the reality is you're going to learn the good and the bad today of AI. I'm going to tell you what I think is important, what's not, just to ignore, and why this is huge for our job search, because I just saw the email, I think it was on LinkedIn, about 60 to 70% of jobs are looking for it. But remember, person that's writing that job and the person that's going to hire you from that job, more than likely, they don't know anything about AI either. They just know it's important to have. It's like, we need to have budget. It's important to have. So I want to make sure that we can prepare ourselves for what that question might be and how to handle it, which I said it's not about the what you're using or anything like that. It's the why it might be important to your career. What's out there that is important, because there actually is some really cool technology out there being built in this space. But it's becoming very much like crypto to me. I'm getting a little beat up by the marketing of it, except that, ironically, if you want security, blockchain's actually awesome. But nobody knows what it's called because it's hidden under crypto. But I digress. Now, anyone recognize any one of these 4 images?
Terminator.
All right. Number 1, you got Skynet, which ironically is the name of my network in my home.
Mine too.
Oh, well, congratulations. On the bottom left, HAL. Big one, right? They actually called artificial intelligence right out on that one. By the way, HAL was a self-learning computer. Something that was written from a long time ago. In your upper right, you're looking at a book from William Gibson, Neuromancer. It was written early 80s. Why is he important? He doesn't own a computer. And he talks about things in that book called the World Wide Web, cybersecurity, cyberspace, the Matrix, Neo, Trinity. You've heard of them from the Matrix movie. That was written in the 80s on a typewriter. Didn't have email, had no idea. That imagination, something that I think kids are starting to miss out a little bit on this age. In the bottom right, it's the maze from Westworld. Now, Westworld is a tough show. Clearly rated R, not kid-friendly, definitely not church-friendly. But I will say this, there's a lot of genius behind what's in there, considering it was Westworld was written in 1973 by Michael Crichton. And the concept of that was before we had computers. That is pretty cool, because we're seeing a lot more in robotics and whatnot. But what's cool about these is half of these images on here are as old as me, and some of them are older. This tech has been talked about as far back as 1300, where philosophers were trying to find the difference in what a brain looked like through sketches. It's not new, but I'm trying to make it relatable, because when I hear it out there, it's just like, it feels like it's a Harry Potter magical broom of doing something, and I don't find it to be that way. Yeah, and how? 2001.
Yeah, I remembered that HAL was actually an acronym, but
Yes.
I couldn't remember what it
It
was.
was
I had
an
to look it up.
historically programming algorithmic computer. That is I couldn't remember the name myself, but HAL is actually an acronym. All of this was predicting, well, in a lot of cases, doom. None of these stories end very well. I think that's what we're seeing in the marketplace about AI, but we have been around these things. Now, great example. Alan here, 1952, he's the mathematician. He's the founding father of this. He's the one that said, I want to make something using algorithms in machine language. Now, to anyone in here that's not technical, what that means is he's just making it smarter, right? Humans can look at a dog and a cat, clearly go, cat, dog. Computers, you're talking about a lot of things, especially in the 50s. But what's cool is, I mean, this guy, he was doing research on this in the 20s. My parents weren't alive. Really shows you that technology that we're seeing today is being commoditized more than it's being new. But that's why I think it's important not to ignore it either, because it's really easy to go, I don't need this crap. I don't care. But there is pieces of it that does matter. And that's why I'm bringing up the timeline. If you look at this, you will see that there has been applications and attempts by scientists and mathematicians all the way up until 1974, trying to replicate this. Why did they have problems? Number one, bandwidth. Lots of bandwidth. Back then, there's no web. You don't even have any networking. You just have these huge supercomputers. And as somebody that worked at IBM, IBM was actually a pioneer in AI, and it failed. But just shows you again that every single thing on this slide, other than 74, I was born in 77. So I was born into a world where this was coming. We all were, actually, probably in some extent. Now, I'm going to talk about William Gibson. He's one of my favorite authors. He writes very dense books. He doesn't own a computer. He's never had an email account. And he wrote a book called The Neuromancer in the 80s. It was a trio of books, actually, in science fiction that won all of the Trio Award for science fiction. But what's great about William Gibson is about a third of all of our technology terms today come from his books. Cyberspace, the Matrix, the things I gave you an example of, it was him writing about science fiction that made it. One thing you'll hear about, like vector databases and stuff, comes from this guy. And the reason why I like his book so much is you look at some of the quotes in the book. He calls out artificial intelligence. He's the first one to actually say, yeah, go figure. The Matrix has its secrets. He made that up. Now it's almost an offshoot. By the way, in technology, you use agents on your computer to fix things. Where did that name come from? Him. And it didn't even exist. Now, when you see genetic engineering, cybernetic enhancements, there's a couple people on the phone that are in the medical field. Medical field is the #1 field where this tech is going to be huge. Biology, research, medication, testing, and results. They're doing it already. If you are going back into the medical field, you're going to want to make sure you understand at least the concepts behind why it's important. Doesn't matter how to use it, because by the time I'm done the presentation, I'll go home and I'll already be behind in this tech. It's moving so fast. But great idea of an author and how science fiction has created this aura around AI in general. Now, Burning Chrome is a book by him. I had never heard of it before. I went back and read it. It's definitely a weird read. It's also the reason where Chrome got its name. That's what Google used. They quoted it when they made the products. All of these particular things, such as net surfing. Think about net surfing being spoken about in 82. There's no net. There's no surfing. Very odd. Couple things in here, ICE and neural implants. Neural implants, by the way, sounds science fiction until you go read what Elon Musk is doing, which is literally microchipping people. That is what they're doing. And William Gibson writes about neurokinetics. So now you're going to see this other awesome buzzword out there. It's called neural networks. Well, what does that mean? Simply put, they're advanced networks, right? It's something faster and more dynamic than what was before. And it's another marketing term or a science fiction term that's being applied to that. Now, the reason why I bring these things up is that a lot of these things that have been talked about for years are clearly named after the tech that's come after it. It's not the chicken or the egg here, right? It's a little bit of both. But I think it's important to remember that you're seeing a lot of the marketing jargon. You're seeing a lot of like, this AI is going to ruin everything. We're all doomed. We're probably somewhere in between. But I don't think I think the catastrophe is because if you read William Gibson, all of his stories end very poorly. You don't live through any of them. Therefore, it's very bothersome when you start looking at this stuff. It's easy for all these people who idolize this in technology to be scared to death. I don't blame them. Now, let's talk about the AI renaissance, which is pretty much where we are right now. These are where we're starting to get actually important things. Let's talk about advancements in the hardware. Now, why does this matter to everyone here? Simply put, we haven't had the technology in the globe to run these type of systems. Number two, we're the only country in the world that can keep up with it. We're the only one with enough power, enough water and resources to do this, and enough capacity. And as anyone here would know, 80% of the internet comes through this country. About 85, I think, in that range. All of it comes through here. Very important that we are not only a leader as a country on this tech, it's moving fast because other countries like China and whatnot will catch up. They're very good at catching up on it. Number two, data. There is 1 billion trillion pieces of data made every day. It is growing by a factor every day, meaning not just 10%. It is almost doubling in half. Why is this important? Well, a lot of things and tools we use, like Facebook, they use databases. All these things we use, LinkedIn, databases. When you get a database that's in the hundreds of millions of megabytes, that application's going to slow down, if not break. We have now massive amount of data. It's so outrageous. It's actually intimidating. This is where AI can help. That is a huge help. Is, oh man, I got all of the, I got 5 years of records, and I got to go look at the IRS and they want my money. What am I going to do? Well, what if I told you that 5 years of CSVs in AI can actually tell you which ones could be itemized or not, because the IRS puts their code out on AI. Go figure. Found deductions I didn't know of on the current code for this year in AI from the IRS. I'm sure they didn't tell a lot of people about that. But imagine looking through a family of 5, 2 dogs, all of our transactions. Oh, but what could it do? I couldn't put that into database. I can go Google search that. I'm sure we've all done it. Then go build a CSV that just sits there. It's not dynamic. It doesn't learn. Now, brings me to the next topic, machine learning. Let's give you a use case of machine learning that matters to every person in this room. How do you think they put up traffic lights in Dallas? They look at accident history. How many people have been killed? How many people got hurt? Accidents. They take terabytes of data, tons of data, analyze, get analysis down to, we need a traffic light here. That is being done in this state right now. Great example of, you think AI, but it's not. It's really looking through a lot of data and coming up with an answer. And I don't mean like in 3 weeks. Machine learning, which you'll see sometimes we're called as ML, that's the acronym for it. The machine learning is something that's in a lot of applications we already use today. I'll give you an example. How do you think hashtags work? It's through machine learning. They recognize more people doing it. The more counts they are, the higher it ranks. Next thing you know, it goes up. Machine learning is not new to any of us. What's changed is the speed and the data size, meaning we're getting data to the point where it's so much, but we're still able to quantify and using it, which then talks about increasing funding and interest. Now, about 90% of the AI jobs out there, when I say AI, are companies like, ChatGPT or Copilot. I mean, a great example of Jody was, he's got Microsoft certification. Probably didn't include Copilot. Imagine telling it, I just need to open up a CSV and just make me an Excel spreadsheet for the budget. That's where we're at. Now, would I trust it? No, I still don't. But we're getting closer, right? Everything is segmented. And I think it's important to talk about the history of tech at the highest, most level. Anyone ever seen the original computer from IBM? It's probably bigger than this room. I now have Windows running on my computer on a Docker, little tiny 1 gigabyte file. One file. All of Windows. Everything goes from big and what's called miniaturization, right? That happens in the government. We've done it in weapons. We've done it in warfare. We don't do it as much in the federal government on our budgets as we should. But I'm saying, like, miniaturization is happening. AI right now has got some serious problems. You're going to see them come up in the next 6 months to a year. I had actually saw it before because I was curious about how much power and water we're using to make these things, especially considering the shortages that we're dealing with in some areas of the country, if not all of them. But we'll talk a little bit about that. Now, we're going into the 21st century, right? The reason this is important is, number one, Google is the one that really made this tech. You know why Google didn't want to release it to the public? Anyone have any idea?
Hallucinations or something?
No, it was Google made 72% of their profits on web search. So how awful would it be to have something where I can go, I want 4 things written out with some history? Well, how do you advertise on that? So what happened? Eric Schmidt, one of the creators of Google and all those guys, made a decision to not further advance it and keep it back. That's called DeepMind. DeepMind is important. They just released something yesterday that is on genetics. That is a big one in medical because you're talking about hundreds of thousands of things. This is where AI will absolutely crush it. But Google had the technology. That's why everyone is mad at OpenAI, and because of GPT, because what they did is basically took the world's data, put it in there, just put it out. That's what they did. They still won't tell you you can see them interview the CEO of that company. I've heard him talk multiple times. He'll never tell you where the data came from. He can't. It's kind of like admitting you broke the law. Now, Facebook also was doing this. You see DeepMind on there. OpenAI made their GPT-2 and 3 in 2017. I was in tech, working at Red Hat, building clouds for the top technology companies. I'd never heard of them. Just shows you how under the radar it was. And by the way, they were called OpenAI because they were a nonprofit. Not anymore. It's now a .com. They changed that when they didn't want to disclose where their data came from or what energy they used or what water they used. And when you find out how much energy they used for that system, it does make me question sometimes when I use it. And I'm worried about my trash or my environment. I'm not overly worried, but when you see the numbers, it's staggering. But the reason I'm bringing this up is this has been out there and it's being used in some subsets. Google had the tech. They used old tech instead. Now they're getting crushed. This has been a huge disaster for Google. They're fighting back and throwing their resources in it. But the reality is, first to market tends to win in this country. And I think that's really what we're seeing, which is also why the government has said that they're not going to use AI in their technology for warfare. What they're not telling you is we've been using it in warfare for 25 years. We're just not going to use it as we know it today. It's definitely not true. Now, why I'm bringing all this up is what matters going in future, right? Look, you hear about ChatGPT, you'll hear a thing about hallucinations, bias. Really, what those are telling you is not bias like you think it might be. It's not hallucinations like you think it might be. It just makes stuff up. Why does it make stuff up? Well, think about it being an alphabet calculator. If I want to type in P-O-U, my spell check knows here comes 88 letters for Poulopoulos. It's an alphabet calculator. You all use it on your computer. You use it on everything. We've been using this tech. We just didn't know it. We just didn't know what it was called. And that's why I call it an alphabet calculator, because what it is say I use the word the. THE, right? Makes me think of Bill Clinton on the word is, right? What does is mean? Well, ironically, if you type in T and then H, what it's doing is it's going to predict that your next letter is E. Most likely guess. What's the next likely guess? Well, it could be that, right? Think about how that works. Now, you don't care about the algorithms and math behind it, but when you think about it that way, it's all it's doing is predicting the next. Now, here's the problem. You know what the problem with predictions is? It's used in weather forecasting. How good is weather forecasting? We were supposed to get a tornado and rain yesterday. Didn't rain at all. That's the problem with predictions. Now, weathermen kind of joke, right? Oh, you don't like the Dallas weather. Well, wait an hour, right? It's crazy. We've accepted weather people as people that may not always be right. Problem with AI is it's the best liar I've ever seen. You can get a report, 90% of it is fantastic information. And then I was running through the other day, I was adjusting a resume and I was just playing around with some different options. Great for thought. One of them had me working at Red Hat for 38 years, which is interesting since I'm 46. Then I looked down there and it also said that I was running a team of 25,000, which not accurate. So again, what am I saying is you'll hear a lot of people saying, well, what about using my resume on that? And they'll say, don't do that. I can't agree more because you just don't know what it's going to populate. It doesn't know you per se and all of that. But to ignore it completely, you're going to get left behind. It's that simple. And it's across all industries, construction being a big one. Architecture, CAD people are upset because math, graphing. Anyone else remember getting a graphing calculator in the 80s? That was a hot thing. It was like $600. They're coming after CAD in a big way. Architects, diagrams, you can build those things now just by a mathematician and engineer with a computer scientist without a team of 10. What's up?
They can still make mistakes.
They do. The difference is now what's happening is you're not necessarily, see, that's where the job thing is about. They're replacing my job. No, they're not. They're looking for the specialties that are going to handle the mistakes. I have a degree in computer science. I am smart enough to know to look at code and go in there and see where it's messing up and why it does it, which sometimes you'll never know. But in architecture, I mean, you're not going to build a building using AI because it'll definitely fall. It'll definitely fall. But it's doesn't mean that your experience changes. You're still going to have to know how to do CAD and all that. What changes is the application of it. How is that taken from a concept and put into production? Might have been something that took months of teams. Now it's going to be a matter of days. That is the big difference. So does AI matter there? I mean, do you need to know how to use it? No, but you do need to know your core application. So if you're in a healthcare system, any healthcare system you'll use already has integrated AI in it. Biology, all of it. It's coming. And you know what? I actually thought for a minute developers were in trouble. They're not. They're actually the least in trouble because coding's hard for AI. You know why coding's hard for AI or development's hard for AI? Because when you have a word like print, that means something in 25 different programming languages. And print could mean I want to print a piece of paper. So it has to decipher, is print printing? Is it talk? Is your name print? Or you print plop? It doesn't know. However, coding's one of its weakest points. But I will say this, if you're in healthcare, I would learn it fast. If you're in operations, I would learn it fast. Those are the ones, and not learn the tech. Understand why it's being used. Why is it important? We go to an interview, they're gonna be like, hey, you got AI experience. Nobody has AI experience. This crap didn't exist. Half of these products that are made are just branding it. They're not even using really the tech. But when you see it on these things, or when you see it out there for a job where they're asking you that question, you're going to probably want to know why it's being used. And I gave an example to Jody, which was, he was like, I can use a monitoring tool and look at all these devices. Absolutely. What happens if the data is like 10 times bigger? Well, we're going to have to get a better server. We're going to have to make a bigger SQL database. And then you start realizing that, well, there's technology now that you don't even need structured data at all. It could just be a bunch of letters. I'll give you an example. Anyone here ever heard of linguistics? I bet you have, you're in communications, or you a PR. Okay, linguistics is, say you have a text exchange. Say Jody and I are texting back and forth. There are applications now that can look at our text to say, the Jason guy's a little annoying. Jody's being mean to Jason. You know how it does that? It can't detect sarcasm. It doesn't know whether you could say, man, I had a killer day. And it's gonna be like, whoa, that guy right there, he's dangerous. However, when you look over a million texts, it doesn't make those mistakes. It can find the patterns of how those are used and apply it. Natural language, which is also what they use, that's the chat portion of this, if you want to call it. So call it natural language, really is nothing more than looking for patterns and then calling the patterns what they are. That's it. So as we get into this world where there's more data, this technology is going to continue to thrive regardless of the industry. But I bring that up. And by the way, I should have made regulatory landscape the last one because that's where we're going to run into problems, and it's coming. You'll see why soon. Now, let's talk about energy. Outside of the fact that OpenAI, as they call it, trained that model in Iowa. Why Iowa? Why didn't they do it in California? I know why. It's against the law of California to use that much power. And in other states, to use as much power as they did, they'd probably be worried about criminal operations. What are you actually using? They used, I think what I read was equivalent to, I think it was 20,000 households yearly combined to train GPT for 1 week. 1 week. To take all that information and jam it into this thing, they had to use that. Now, anyone that's in tech, you don't even need to be in tech to know, man, you're using all that data and all that electricity. It's going to get hot. Think about how much fresh water we're throwing at this. Now, why do I have a little reserve on that? I mean, I like water. Fresh water's great. Electricity. I've been here when we had a storm where we had to electively shut off people's power. Electricity is important too. I learned about that multiple ways, but I think it's important to remember they didn't disclose this because they would have gotten creamed. It's come out over time, and actually it was found by the government looking over the census information for electricity usage. That's how they got caught. They were able to go into the power monitoring stations, into our electricity grid, and for some reason, this town in Iowa, or whatever, I think the town, just came off the map. Now, why is that important to us? Because AI is dirty. It's like coal. It really is. But as I told you before on the story, right? Tech gets smaller, cleaner, faster, less power. That's all of us, right? My iPhone, I used to have a bag phone for that thing. Now it's like, you know, at some point it's just gonna be, I think they're gonna chip my head to where we're going, right? But what's cool about this is that it's already happening where they're making things, you'll see it called fine-tuned models. What does that mean? Well, in layman terms, let's say I wanted to write like I write. Well, how would I do that? Well, I could take my million emails, dump them in there, have it learn on how I talk, and when you know, it'll sound like me. That's fine-tuning it. Now, why would that matter in medical? Matter in medical a lot. If you have certain diseases, certain medicines, side effects, how do they work together? These are in separate systems at separate providers that are under compliance. They can't even talk to each other. These tools now allow that kind of spanning and communication. It just wasn't available. That is super important. I'm seeing this used at every level, even teaching. Somebody was talking about training. Like, best use case to use AI is training. It's awesome at it. It's a self-training tool. But the reason why I think it's important is you're going to see about this energy cost. That means these big guys, right? The Copilots, the Microsoft, OpenAI, all these big things, they're going to get shrunk down once the regulators catch up, right? We're still trying to figure out what to do with social media in the government. They're still trying to figure that out. And which is funny because I don't know if anyone knows this, but if you were on Facebook in the 2000s, Congratulations, you made their product. They fine-tune the product on our lives. That's what happens when something's free. And I always tell you, right? Technology is free. You're the product. If anyone's ever seen The Matrix, if you've seen The Matrix, they literally are bio-making people and then feeding them their own dog food. It's exactly what they did here. I'm not surprised I don't find stuff from like when I was like 26 of me going like, I love this dinner in their product. And by the way, people's names are showing up. They're under 2,700 lawsuits right now.
Opening up.
Yeah, just on information, because people, see, most of us don't know. You can go to their product right now. It looks awesome, gives you all this information. What you don't know is if you put your name and address in there, congratulations, they know who you are. Now, it's probably true on any tech we use these days, but I'm not I wasn't a big fan of social media for that reason. Nothing's free to me. So ironically, that's really how they made it. That's why it talks human. That's why it's an alphabet calculator, but it's better than, autocorrect, which gets it wrong, right? Because autocorrect's never figured it out. By the way, here's the cost in US millions of dollars just for the water, power, and the cloud computing to make this product. 7 days. That's outrageous because that's more than some states use for the year. That is outrageous. Now, these numbers just now starting to surface, meaning won't take very long for people to go, ooh, that's a lot of water. I mean, Frisco just allowed us now to water twice in a week. I just found this out today. It's a big deal on water resources because it's important. This state actually spent more for water on this solution, and then the solution moved to California and made $1 on it. That's why they went .com, because you don't disclose that to the regulations. Now, couple key takeaways, and then I'm going to relate this back to why it matters by asking questions and using careers. I see ethical considerations in there. I mean, I don't necessarily like ethical considerations. A lot of these systems are pretty heavily censored. Everyone knows if you go to Google and type in something inappropriate, you're probably going to end up on a list like everyone else, right? How about this? Anything you do is monitored. It's very simple. But what's important when they say ethical considerations is you don't really want somebody that's pretty smart to become really smart. It's going to take people that maybe wanted to do something bad and actually give them some pretty good ideas on how to do it. A good example would be if I was unhappy and wanted to, say, make a bomb. I had circuitry in 97. It's not the same. I bet you if I wanted to know how to circuit one right now, I could figure out on OpenAI. Do I want to learn about biology or chemicals? I can right now on AI. Topics that are dangerous. I'll give you an example. 9/11 happened when we had the planes hit the building. People forget that was the second attempt on those buildings. First one was a UPS truck full of fertilizer from Cargill Fertilizer in Tampa, Florida. Now, why do I tell you this? Number one, anytime you use a UPS truck, congratulations, you just gave your name to the government. They ask for a license. There's a database of that. Number two, fertilizer. Can't buy it anymore in bulk like that. They changed those regulations as well. Cargill, they actually almost successfully knocked the building down the first time using fertilizer in a truck. Two things now that are a lot easier to do with the information available without doing as much effort. That's the important thing. The other one on the last is the continuous learning. This one is, I guess, part of the doom and gloom and also why it's so awesome. If I'm working at a healthcare facility with a bunch of doctors and we're treating people, the more we use that system internally, the smarter it's going to be. It learns from itself. Now, if anyone else has been on any application or Windows or something, you boot it up, there's 18 updates and every product's got to update. You got Java's been out for a year, all the garbage that's coming up. AI does not have that problem. There is no software. Actually, wait till you find out that there's actually no data either. That's what will blow your mind. But I will talk about that in a little bit because it's crazy. But continuous learning basically means If I go in there and I have AI look at my emails over time, they'll tell me whether or not I'm in a good mood or a bad mood. The more information you give it, smarter it gets. Now, that is the danger. We were talking about that on the way in. Now I'm not going to get into mathematics and algorithms, but there's an algorithm goes by the letter Q. It's called Q. Q is an algorithm on how to get things wrong all the time. Why does that matter? Well, once it learns what's right, guess what it doesn't do the second time? It doesn't make the mistake again. That is a little concerning because let's just say if you wanted to build malware and have it break into a network and take everyone's stuff, well, something that learns what to do to get into that network is very dangerous to all of us, to the governments, to China, anyone. We are already having problems with this. Our government has no idea what to do with it. And to be honest with you, I don't think anyone does. It's not their fault. I just know that when you hear continuous learning, it's awesome because I think about as a sales guy and running teams. I mean, I used to joke and say I had spreadsheets for my spreadsheets. That's how many I had there. I had to make sure I had a double or triple lookup. Now, with at least local systems, it's just not there anymore. I would be able to look over data so much faster than I could. You're taking something that took me every day down to minutes. Now, does that mean my job's gone? No. It means I have more time to go out there and help my people work. That is it's taking something. Anyone ever mess with a large Excel or CSV file? It isn't. It's kind of fun to play with the data and all until you realize that you can take the same file, put it in there, and it'll give you all the data in about 13 seconds. You'll be like, it's a lot of jobs. So like architecture, right? What if they're wrong? That's what you're doing. So that's what's happening to us. Now, I don't know if we're going to be in 10 years where robots are giving me drinks and stuff like that I see on TV. And I saw on LinkedIn the other day, my favorite is everyone has probably seen the little pop-up where they're like, look, you have this little interface on your hand and you can click, except that what's projecting that? Oh yeah, it's fake. You can't touch a projection. It's just not there. You're seeing a lot of science fiction, right? That's my point. Is there a lot of this garbage out there? But what's important to us? If you're in medical, probably one outside of maybe government and some others and financial, it is one of the biggest areas where there's compliance. But they are bringing these tools inside so that they're learning from them. Now, if I was an operations manager, I would definitely be interested in AI in a big way because there's a lot of operations, right? What do they say, right? If you get so many tickets and so many emails, you'll probably miss that one important one, right? Actually, AI bridges that gap. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can actually take it right now in Copilot. Microsoft, as an example, has it in a product. Say you have 45 emails come overnight. You can just go in there and ask it, hey, summarize all those emails. It'll tell you all of them. Which ones are important, which ones were to you, which ones have an action for you. The idea of I'm going to miss the important one, that day's over. That's important. Now, what I would ignore is, hey, we got this Gen AI. Look, it's going to build this for you. I can have it build an application for me right now. It will definitely break my computer. It's not that smart. It's a good liar, though. To anyone that doesn't know what they're looking at, it looks really good and it looks great. You got to be a little bit careful on that. I have had it, and they call it hallucinations or whatnot. It's really simply, if you ever search Google and there's no results, they tell you there's no results. AI doesn't have that capability. It's going to think what you could. And by the way, when I say that, that is probably one of the cooler things that we talked about. It may not relate to the group. You're going to hear the term vector databases. Now, I think of vector coordinates in like a sci-fi movie that are going to take me to like some galaxy. Now, vector coordinates is plural, meaning it's not just a point direction. It's a whole bunch. Now, why does that matter? Well, think about it. I was saying about Spaceballs, right? The movie, the mock of Star Wars. If anyone remembers, Spaceball 1 went right over top of them. They went plaid. That was the joke in the movie. Just flew right over top. You know why vector databases and Spaceballs have in common? Because when you make vector coordinates, it's not exact. It's actually mathematically impossible. That's why mathematicians and programmers are just going like, I don't know. What do you mean the math doesn't work? Vector means close as possible. Now, why would close as possible matter? On our planet, really didn't matter that much. But when you start looking into, say, like Stephen Hawking and A Brief History of Time, quantum physics, or anything like that, when you start looking into how far space is, as an example, to go from here to Andromeda, you're probably going to miss it. And if you go at the speed you need, you're going to miss it by a lot. That's why I use the Spaceball example, because they went flying right by. Because if I wanted to go to Mars, I probably don't need as much information as I do to go to Andromeda, the galaxy. Why is that important? Well, a lot of this is birthed vector databases. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you why that's important for tech. It's boring. But what does it mean? Vector databases can handle any data, all of it. They don't care if it's in order. It can be like, I love you, Mom, quantum physics lines, Stephen Hawking, brief history. It can be just whatever you want. Vector databases give you what is the most likely result. Very much like if you're flying that plane. I don't know if you know this, but if you were to actually do space travel to Andromeda, you're going to have to change your coordinates multiple times. You're not going to get straight there. It's impossible. Think about it. So the universe is so big. When you look at it, you're just, it's mind-boggling. It's kind of the reason why vector is pretty important. Very similar concept. It handles large data, and that's what we're faced with. Now, a couple things that are important for us as job seekers. I saw an article that was posted, I think, from the Monday session about, AI now needs to be in about 60 to 65% for professions. I agree with Jody. They're asking the question. If you ask them, hey, how do you guys use AI? They're going to go, we just do, because they don't know. However, so what I'm trying to say to the group, and I think it's important, is why are they using it? So like when we went over, I got the same things with Jody that I got with everyone else. Okay, so great, it's talking to me, and we have databases, so what's the big deal? We have Logic Monitor, right? It monitors all my devices, gives me all of those things. But when you start looking at it going like, well, okay, well, say you have this tool doing something, and you have this tool over here doing something. You know what those tools don't do? They don't talk. They have two different databases. They are completely different. One of them's Facebook, one of them's MySpace. They're different. AI and vectors bridge that gap, and they're secure. That's the reason why it's a big deal. The number one gains I see, legal, because legal data is put out as text. Anyone ever read any of the legal stuff from the government? Whatnot? It's just plain text. 22 terabytes to read our economic policy in this country from the US government. Good luck putting that in a spreadsheet. It will not open. You can't even build a database for that. But I can look through it through some AI applications in 15 minutes to see that we are doing lipstick on a pig literally to see if it hurts their lips and causes cancer. I found that in our 2020-23 budget. You know how neat it is to find one line item, 20 terabytes. Now, why would this be important? Law enforcement. You're texting a lot with people. There is a lot of data out there. We're using computers, there's websites, new websites every day. As that grows, this tech will continue to grow. I don't think it's going to be called AI or whatever they're calling it today, but where it matters is when you look at your industry, if you're going into healthcare, you're going to want to look at what tools have you used that are implementing some process of this. Because when you go into an interview and they ask you, what do you do with AI? You go, well, I get experience with ServiceNow as the trainer, I use it all the time. But I also understand why it's being used. Because in ServiceNow, how about this? Anyone's had a computer knows you start it up, it starts patching. Next thing you know, you can't log in, you forgot your password. Well, when you work at a company with 200,000 people, it's a lot of tickets, especially when they all come in at once. There has been a challenge in IT to handle all of that for years.
Now, if 200,000 tickets came in 1 minute, I could probably process those in ServiceNow, tool that you are absolutely familiar with. Except now they do it in about 3 seconds, and they do it all for you. So again, do I need to know why AI can make these beautiful cat pictures for the internet? I make cat pictures for the internet like as anyone else. I enjoy it. It's funny. I find using AI to be great. I'm a photographer. I take a lot of professional photos and I throw it through AI just to see it take off. And it's awesome. But if I will say this, anyone that has a book, if you publish anything to the web, you're giving it away. The days of our country's got a copyright problem, big time. It doesn't mean it's going away, but it is a big deal. If anyone remembers, all of Hollywood and all the writers were striking over AI. Yeah, I can see why. Not because it's good. If you ever have AI write you a story, you're going, oh, it's awful. It's not good. But the writers were told 20 years ago that they didn't need to worry about Netflix either. They didn't need to worry about syndication. Cable was always going to be there. So imagine them hearing about AI and they're like, whoa, 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 we've heard this story before. And by the way, they didn't get a cut. So these writers would write a show, get paid. By the way, it goes on Netflix, makes them billions of dollars. The writers got nothing. You know why? Because they ignored what came. So this time they were like, whoa, we're not going to do that. And ironically, there was a show, I forget what it's called. It's probably not definitely not church friendly, but there was an episode, I forget the series, it's called Megan, MEGAN, with the G cap. It was literally a show during the writer's strike about how she's living her life. But the reality was, the whole thing was being written in real time by AI. And the writers just freaked out because it was like, I don't like this show. It's a tough show, but there was an episode on it called Megan that's very popular because she basically was in an episode of AI and didn't know it, learned about it. Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those that I can't have on in my house because the kids, period. Same thing with Westworld. But when it comes to our careers, I'm sales. What do I need to know about AI? I definitely don't need to know all this. You can ignore half of this, probably 90% of it. What do I need to know in sales? Forecasting sales in the billions of dollars and millions of dollars was hard. Having another tool to help me logically break that into pieces and help me look at that, it just makes me available to do other things. And I think that's important in sales. If you're in operations, you probably get a lot of emails. You're probably making a lot of PowerPoint presentations. You know what's cool about my PowerPoint here? This took me 18 seconds to make. Looks great, doesn't it? You know how I did it?
We just talked.
I put this, that was the joke. I told you I'll put one together if I had time.
You did.
13 seconds. Why did I do that? See this one right here? I have a tool. It's called beautiful.ai. If you like or use PowerPoint presentations, best money I spent. It was like 40, 60 bucks. You know what I did? I gave it the link to William Gibson's Neuromancer, and I said, make me a call-out sheet for it. Boom, done. Number 2, every single color done by AI. All of it. I made this just to show you. I don't know about y'all, but I was the sales guy or the sales leader where when I wrote an email, it took me a long time because I'm a math guy. Math, M-A-F-F, mathematics. I remember I had it written on my book. You know, you had to cover your books with the paper back in the day when they had books in school. Mine had math on it. I remember my calculus teacher was like, "Heck is that? Math." He goes, "I get it." See now, anyone that's getting in the tech industry, then when I went to college, I had a class called discrete math. Anyone ever heard of it? Yeah. You know what I learned about discrete math? Better be good at English. It's all theory, not numbers at all. I'll never forget it going into a class where the professor said 90% of you are going to go into information systems. You're not going to survive this class. And that's because it was the one class that taught you about logic and not numbers. So anyone that was coming out in 2000s, they were requiring that class. Now, I had an argument that if I get the math question right and I forget a period, I don't know why I'm getting docked for that. But in the professional world, it does matter, especially on resumes. By the way, great use of resume in AI, simple. Check to make sure I have punctuation. I can't tell you how many resumes I used to watch where some sentences are punctuated, some of them are not. It's a great tool for that because a period is pretty easy to detect. It's not going to lie. But at the end of the day, I am finding that a lot of this technology is bleeding itself into the tools we use. So while we see all the marketing out there, anyone that is in construction, especially in the planning, designing, and operations of such, are going to be using these tools. I have spoken to people that have done CAD for years that are telling me that they're still using it, but the speed in which they can go from prototype to reality is much faster. That is a big thing. Now, the other thing is, we spent 20 years trying to understand genetics. We still don't even know that much about the brain. As we know more about, I do believe, the moon than our brains. That will change because this technology has the ability to look at stuff. The brain is billions of things going on. Data that we could never have harnessed before. That's why I believe in healthcare, you're going to see a big time push on this. Medications, case studies, all of it. If you look at anything coming out now when they're testing medicines on people, like when you bring in a group and you're testing it on people, they're absolutely using machine language to see which groups got hurt, which one, did you have flu, therefore you're more susceptible. They could have used AI for COVID, but the government doesn't know how to use it. They would have told them that people pretty much got the flu, and if you have the flu and you're 90, you're in trouble anyway, which is really the truth. Now, it's not ignoring the science, but you're talking about so much information. So you're talking about that in science. Now, why would AI matter to us in other industries? Well, anyone ordering from McDonald's, you better get good at AI. It's going to look at your face and recognize what you ordered this time. You used to work at JCPenney's. I bet you there was applications even back then when someone's walking through the store has that like square on them. You could probably tell if somebody's stealing or if they were doing nefarious thing. By the way, there are companies right now that are using AI through their cameras. They can see you at your desk. They know if you're outside or if you're walking at the water cooler. It's actually very disturbing. That is where I don't like AI because let's be real, corporate's not always that friendly. I don't like something looking at me all the time. But let's remember, if you walk into the mall, you walk into a football game, you've been using AI for 20 years. There's a reason why NFL football games do not have a lot of problems. It's because when you walk in that door, there's a camera that profiles you against every single criminal database there is. Not one person will walk into a game at Jerry's World. By the way, I'm from Philadelphia, so I call it Jerry's World. Everyone that enters that building, if you're wanted by the FBI, there's at least 50 of them there waiting to take you. And they let you in and wait. And they'll silently remove you. The FBI and the government loves that tech, which is part of what scares the crap out of me. You thought we had no privacy before. It's really scary. That's where we're going to need to worry about it. And let me give you some warnings. If you go into AI and put personal information, better make sure it's compliant. If not, expect it to get out. Number two, I always tell this to the kids. This is a big deal, right? As they're using social media. Everything, as soon as you do something and it goes, you no longer own it. Whoever has it now owns it. Very important thing to remember. It's not like when I went to college, there's no proof of it. It is going to be harder to run for president in 30 years because your whole life's on tape. And by the way, I don't care how good you are, we all make mistakes. And if you get caught on the one mistake, I'm thinking in college of just being stupid or being young, and then thinking about what would happen. That got broadcast to 1.2 million people on TikTok, which is interesting considering that there was 2 fights last year broadcast from a school with 1 million people watching. Something that 25 years ago, you got expelled for 2 weeks, you got in trouble. They actually were paddling in school back when I went, right? Like, yeah, that now is something that's different. Now, why is this also important to technology? It's not just the tech, it's the security. AI is actually machine language. It's helping keep China away. Now, why is AI dangerous to us as humankind? Anyone understand how we deal with China as a country? We love their manufacturing for one reason, cheap. However, if you want to sell software like Apple or Google does, you have to hand China all the code. They don't allow you to sell to one person without giving them the code. So that means when Google came in and said, okay, here's our code, guess what? Here comes Alibaba. Here comes all of these other clones. And guess what? Google pulls out. They're no longer needed. They did the same thing with Apple. They did the same thing with the iPhone. iPhone was huge there for about a year. Now, iPhone's a great example of what's happening to our country and our current state of economics. iPhone, 99% of that is made in China or Indonesia. But 92% of the money spent on engineering and thinking it through is in the US. That is important to remember. Yeah, we lost manufacturing. That's been going on. And by the way, we're in a tough spot because we both want to make stuff. We want it to be cheap. And we also want to get paid. And those 3 things are a problem. How about this? I can hire a developer right now in India for $500 a week, and they'll work 60 hours. That's a problem for anyone. And their economy supports that. Ours does not. So what we need to do as professionals, regardless of your industry, even if you're out there using hammers, there is tools to help you understand. A great example. My garage door broke the other day. The wires got hit, right? You know how it is. I'm looking at the wires. They're both the same color. They're not red or black like they're supposed to be. So I'm looking at it going like, great, I don't know which one it is. I took out my phone. I got a little thing of GPT. I took a picture of it. I circled it going, what is that? It told me what it was. And I fixed it. I have fixed 8 electronics in my house. A dryer. I don't know how to fix a dryer. I completely took the component out. I used my cell phone. I didn't search Google. I just took a picture saying, hey, broke, fix it. It gave me information. By the way, anyone do lawn stuff out here? Got a beautiful lawn? Get a weed, you don't know what to do with it? Take a picture. It'll tell you what it is. By the way, why is that important? To take a picture of a weed and tell you what it is? Because people go out there and just spray, we're just putting plutonium out there on the ground, right? It'll just kill everything. It's ironically, if you know what you don't want, you just take care of that. You're actually going to let the groundwater be a little bit more secure. So think about how it does help, even when it just makes sense. Now, I do think what we're going to see is some of my concerns on AI are very simple. What happens to awesome writers? Because they're all being scraped. They're suing and they're losing, by the way. All of these copyright are losing battles. But all of this data is being scraped into an AI that's eventually going to write it. My experience is, I don't know about y'all, but I love the first 3 episodes of Star Wars, but the other 35, not a big fan. Now, maybe that's because I love the ones from the 70s and 80s, right? But the reality is, you're going to see a lot of that now, like where we're going to regurgitate. By the way, how many X-Men and Marvel movies have we made? A lot of people love them. But the reality is, you're seeing AI there. They're taking similar scripts and having it build options. They're using it already to think these things up, which gives a very important point. What happens to people that are just flat out writers? That is a concern. If you make stuff, it is a concern, but it's not a showstopper. What you got to do is say, all right, well, I always say this, you're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose it to somebody that knows how to use it, though. And that's important because I don't know ops. This man right here, he can teach me more about ops on tech than I would ever want to know. However, if he was working on a spreadsheet that's 150,000 long and I was, he'd be very upset to see how much quicker I can do it without much knowledge at all. Speaking of which, those hashtags, right? They are very important. They broadcast you out to another thing. They also use a vector database for that. Why? Because I can go out there and hashtag, my favorite. Hashtag jobs, hashtag too many hashtags, hashtag. Literally, this system could take anything. If it's a lot of it, brings it to the top. But why would I bring up hashtags? Heard today. I want to know what hashtags are trending. You can find that out. Ask AI. Ask Google. They'll tell you. Hey, give me the top 10 things that are trending right now on LinkedIn, on Microsoft Copilot. It'll tell you. So those hashtags, I'll give you a great example. I use AI to look for jobs. I don't know if anyone knows this, but Indeed, not a great job site, but it's a big one. ZipRecruiter. Their APIs or whatever, they're piping that data. They're in AI too. I can go into AI and give it my resume and tell me, give me 20 positions that look like I would do well in. It does a real good job because I don't know about y'all, but when I go into LinkedIn, I went in there and I made a job alert the other day. I applied to the first job. I was like, oh, this job's gonna be great. It's posted 4.5 months ago. They have 2,900 resumes and it was posted 4 months ago. That was a waste of my time. With AI, I put parameters. I only want jobs from today. You can do that on those tools. But you know what they do? They promote stuff. People are paying to get higher rankings. They haven't figured that one out in AI yet. So it's actually pretty neat when you want to avoid a lot of the advertisements and noise. Now, there are people from multiple facets in here. I've heard operations, PR, if I remember that, tech. If you are a project manager, it doesn't matter. I think what's important is ignore all the marketing. Pay attention to what tools did you use? Because if you go and look at CAD, the whole first page on Google's nothing AI. It's all AI. People that use CAD that know it will go out in the market going, but that's the question that you're going to get creamed on in the interview. That's the one where, well, we've been doing this in here. If you go AI, I'm thinking of like Westworld from 1973. Wrong answer. It's going to be hey, this makes sense. It's a lot of data. It's a lot of speed. You don't want to have a huge server in that, right? It's costly. So you got to be able to explain the why, not the how. The how means nothing. They'll teach you. And as I said, they don't know. I came out with a computer science degree in 2000. Anyone know why that's not a good thing? Yeah, I was told for 4 years, you're gonna be the jam. And then when I came out, I was the most hated college student on the planet. No one wanted to hire me. I had all of this wonderful coding knowledge that didn't involve a web browser. Didn't even exist then. I think I was using Netscape in the 90s, maybe. But my point is, even now, expect people, you are not behind on this topic. Nobody understands it. So what I would do and what I did was, all right, I'm a sales guy. I'm a marketing guy. I like to go make money. Well, I spent time focusing on where it can help me. It used to take me days to make a good PowerPoint presentation. 13 seconds gave me time to go out and eat dinner with my daughter, prepare for today with good information. All I had to do was use links and make sure that there was no cursing in it or violence because we are in a church. But again,
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But I mean, beautiful.ai is what I used for this. It gave me this in a PowerPoint. It gives it to you in Google. It was probably the best $70 I spent for the year because anytime I go to do speaking engagements or as a sales leader or anyone where you're presenting in front of a room, I don't know anyone that likes making PowerPoint presentations. This thing was quick, it was easy, and it's effective. It uses AI because clearly I don't have this graphic capability. But I really bring that up because look, almost a lot of the careers in corporate involve a lot of these things. I do my budgeting using AI. It's simple. Take your bank report, cover up, it only gives you all those things except for the last 4 digits, right? Hides all the information. Well, there's a lot of data in and out there. You know what? Take your bank statement for the year last year. I challenge anyone in here to do that. Go into the power company, hit the button that says, give me this spreadsheet. It'll tell you by hour how much power you used. Toss it into AI and go, what am I using the most power? And you'll freak out when you realize hair dryers in the morning with a house full of women. Not me. But use of water, pool being on and off. You'll start looking at why am I using so much power overnight? You'll start realizing you're using a lot of power overnight because there is 240 IPs on in my house. I think I beat you. How many you have? 63. I had to have a expanded IP set because I have so many. Meaning, yeah. So to me, what we need to focus on this is you take your career, you pay attention to what matters. I do recommend playing with the stuff, you should play around with it. It doesn't matter just to get a feel for it, but it's not as important to know it. This isn't like being certified in Microsoft, which has been down. When I worked at Red Hat, it's open source. I spent 5 years, you'll love this, selling free software. It's free. By the way, anyone remember when President Trump came out during COVID and said, hey, we're using, I forget, the Military Act that was in World War I or II, where we were able to shift production for companies legally away from other countries. Guess what? President Trump was talking to me. I was working on a project at the time with China in the cloud because open source. India, China, they love that tech. They made us cancel. And then we had to go. And what we did is we had to build the entire infrastructure in the US, Salt Lake City, to host the Senate confirmation hearings that were all done on Zoom. That's what that act he took was to make me do that move. So we have a lot of problems with the technology because, my dad, love him to death. I think he's texted me about 18 times ever. And I can imagine he, as a substitute teacher, and he came in and they had this application called Canvas. And my dad was teaching during COVID. He was regretting his life because he was like, all this tech.
That is the least user-friendly teaching system on the planet,
Correct.
by the way.
Go into, if you happen to have or use any of these AI products, go into ChatGPT. You do 3D printing. There's a whole module about giving you formulas for 3D printing. You can go in there and say, I want 10 ideas on 3D printing on how I can make things for Christmas. Not only will it give it to you, it'll give you the formula for it too. Now, is it right? But you're the expert on it. You're printing better than, say, I would. I've never done it, but it's a great example of how these things are out there. By the way, there are other ones out there. I coding and stuff I'd stay away from. I find it's wrong a lot. Historical information is great. You want to know what happens in your state? You want to know anything? Oh, by the way, all politics, that's open data. There's actually a website, opendata.gov. If you want to go find a lot of data on a whole bunch of nothing, it's there. But what's cool about it is, imagine reading historical data about the state during a pandemic and energy use. Really cool. That's how they found how OpenAI did that, right? We're going to see this blending into everything. I think the last thing that'll adopt it is probably the government. But when you hear all the crap on TV or everyone's rebranding their products as now it's AI marketing, ignore it. They're writing books like the rest of these people are. Remember, what are you doing as your career and what tools did you use? And now look at how that might have changed. Because if you've been out of work like me for 2 years, it's not the same sales. They don't even use forecasting anymore like that. They're using a lot of these tools internally. They don't know how to use them really, but their work, it's a work in progress. It's not much different than when we all got Windows originally. We didn't know what the heck to do with that thing. So What I'm saying is, I have found this topic to be very annoying. Like cryptocurrency, the crypto people, they call them actually the AI bro is the nickname, or the crypto bro. I can't stand it. Ironically, though, government uses cryptocurrency and blockchain because it's the most secure thing they have. You know why blockchain is important? Anyone know what blockchain is? You heard of it. You know what blockchain has? No servers. Meaning, when I sign off on a transaction, it doesn't go anywhere but me. When I go to do another transaction, it blocks those together. What's great about that is, you know who doesn't know? My bank, my kids, government. I don't know about you, but you and I got off the phone doing a Zoom call. We were talking about one particular product. As soon as I got off the call and I did a Google search, it was the top result. Sponsored. We were talking. I didn't write anything down. It's because I used on there, I turned the AI on. But if you use Zoom for free, by the way, your voice, it's already been cloned. Your face, they know what you look like. They know what your expressions are. They've been mining this data for years. You're seeing the execution of it. So start looking at your professions and say, does this matter? And if it does, why? That will get you in the door and past that question. You could put on your resume about AIs and whatnot, but I wanted to make sure that you understood the why. Why are they using it? If I'm a project manager, why does it matter? Why does it matter in IT? Why does it matter in PR? It's because it's the speed to work where you might need to augment soft and hard skills around new things that you didn't have time for before. So anyway, thank you. I appreciate you giving me the leverage in. I hope it was helpful. It's easy to target for Jody and tech, but I mean, the medical industry is in trouble. I'm scientists and medical research, nursing, that's all going to be replaced. Surgery, replaced. It's going to get replaced. There's nothing more precise than a machine doing surgery. Let's be real. A human can cough. It's a problem. By the way, you can have a scalpel left in your body. Happens. Everyone makes mistakes, but you'll find that most of our cars are built by machines like this, and they're built better than by hand. I hate to say it. We'll probably see that in all of our industries eventually, but it's going to be slow. But for us outside looking in, you want to know the why. That'll help you with that question. You'll get past it. And then when you get in there, you'll probably learn that no one knows what they're doing with it, and you're figuring it out. You're basically a guinea pig anyway. So, but anyway, thank you. I appreciate it, Matt.
That was fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Try to make it easy.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
anyone have any questions? I'll gladly ask anyone. If anyone has any question about their career, what they should look at, what matters, ask. Nah, he hit me up. Anyone? Go ahead.
Getting something, and this is going back to something that decades back, even in Career Connection, when they first were talking about using the internet to find a job. How do you strike that balance? I mean, if you're looking for a job, you're in a marketing program, so you have to be out there to be found. At the same time, my life is nobody else's business. And I want to make a career transition into intelligence. So my life really is not anybody's business. How do you strike that balance, given the state of technology today?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, there is no balance. Do you have the internet at your house? Who's your provider? Spectrum? Okay. They're stealing your data. You're welcome. That's what they do. By the way, you know what you don't hear in the news? You don't hear about AT&T being subpoenaed for data or Spectrum. They have it. Your ISP, when you're using internet, they're the #1 scraper. Now, how do I balance it? Well, #1, I want those products when I use them. I pay for GPT's SOC compliance one, meaning I don't want you to know what I say. And when it is verified, such as SOX compliance or banking compliant or HIPAA compliant, that is where you can feel more comfortable with it. And then intelligence-wise, the same thing, right? You know where you're good and where you're not. But I hate to say it, but your internet service provider is absolutely, they don't make any money on selling you internet. They sell your data. I hate to say it, but it's a tough balance. I know what you mean on marketing about being out there. I think the best thing you can do is read the terms and conditions and make sure that they're not selling what was it? Zoom got caught. They were using it for a year, just stealing it. And then somebody caught them and now you can turn it off. So go ahead.
As somebody who grew up in the online spaces, it's pretty unnerving for me because I don't know if, companies are going to scrape to find pictures of my face from social accounts from years ago. That's actually why I've tried to be diligent about expunging old information out of there. But not that long ago, I actually used to use image AIs. I was doing this visual patterning experiment where I made fake people and they were like half me. So I accidentally fed my face to an algorithm using FaceApp or whatever it was, which is, I think I found out was based out of Russia. And I was like, oh, darn, but it's in there now and I can't change that. Now, what I was told by somebody who I knew who kind of worked with AI stuff, because I'm not that technologically literate, I'm not the math person. She told me that a lot of this information is broken down really, really into teeny tiny pieces, that it would be hard to relocate unless you were like specifically looking for something. I think she told me that it's, especially for images, they're broken down into pieces, is what she said. But
it's all math. It is all math. So, I mean, it's all math. And yes, every image you see out there, every picture and video behind it are numbers. So in regards to privacy, if you put something up on Google, even your resume, you're out there. There's just no way to hide it. It's one of those things where I think we need to, as a country, we need to step up to protect our privacy a little bit better. Because, we don't hear about, let's just say getting a warrant's probably never been easier in its life because they can find that information without even asking you. So I do think we do need to keep an eye on that because when it comes to government overreach, these tools would definitely be helpful. In your case, in Russia and all them, a lot of the AI tools that are coming out now, the new ones, they're out of China. Be careful. It's the reason why they're banning TikTok. It's not to make all the people angry, even though I love the banning. I love it. But it's not to make people angry. It's because where does that data go? It goes to Shanghai. Not cool. By the way, manufacturing wise, to add it out there, if you build in China and want to ship here, you actually have to have a US distributor because those chips are not allowed in the country. But software is a little bit of a danger zone where you could just get into something and not know. So I wanted to bring that up. But when it comes to privacy, best way to stay private is to not use the internet. I hate to say it, no, even your typing, the noise on your keyboard can predict what you're typing. That's where we're at today. I am not kidding you. It's not a keylogger. They'll know the words by how long it takes your fingers to get to them. I don't know how they do it, but it's almost impossible to escape from today. Go ahead.
In terms of, again, more on privacy stuff, but you've seen the top voice on LinkedIn. Top voice, like when you contribute to their articles, so AI, I can tell AI is generating these prompts, these questions, and they're getting professionals to contribute their opinions and approaches and stuff. So I've seen those and like, okay, if you do so many of them, you get to be, you get the little a light bulb that classifies you as a top voice and whatever. I didn't want to contribute to those because I'm like, well, I'm dealing with human psychology and like this is stuff that I know from my experience, and I'm not going to give that to you for free. I'm like, pay me. I don't want to just put that stuff out there. But so I was thinking, I'm not going to do that. But it's, if I write an article, it's kind of taking it anyway.
All right. First off, anyone know if you ever been on LinkedIn, you'll see this one post that comes in, it has like 30,000 things and all this stuff about GPT cheat sheets or all this crap. I've seen it recently as today. You'll see that on there and you'll see thousands and thousands of people just thank you for this. Oh, I love this. I don't think any of those people are real. No, I'm saying, I think what you're seeing is somebody wrote something and there's a trillion other people that have wrote little things to be able to go and say, ooh, look, hashtag, ooh, AI. I'm going to say thank you. And then you get seen by these people. Number two, LinkedIn, owned by Microsoft. Microsoft owns OpenAI. If you contribute, you are making their product become a better psychologist. It's that simple, right? Even Reddit, right? Look at Reddit. Reddit's a huge tool. Anyone that knows, if you're a developer or a geek, you had your go-to sites. They all sold your data. It's all in there. So, but in your case, I would never comment on any of those. What I would do is go into the private chats where in LinkedIn, you can make a group that doesn't include any of those people and invite them into your group to talk about the topic, such as the pit crew and the others do, where there's a human behind it. But the AI stuff that you see like that, it's a bot, probably Russian.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Thank you, Jason.
Hey, thank you again.
Fantastic. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys. Best tip I gave is that beautiful AI.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I'm buying beautiful AI this afternoon. Wow. That was fantastic. All right, just to finish up.
We got a few other things.
There we go.
This
So-
really good. That's what we're.
Steve? Sorry.
Finish it.
We got
We're finishing.
real quick, we do have speakers lined up for the next 3 weeks. On next Friday and the Friday after, Rick Gillis will be talking on accomplishments-based job search. Then your work does not speak for itself, you do. And then the week after that, the art of hello with Poulopoulos. And as a reminder, if you haven't put your information in the chat, please do so, especially your email address, so that we can send you the presentation and the Zoom chat that somebody asked for. All right, next Tuesday, LinkedIn Tuesday will be hosted as always by Patty Bashy, and Terry Sullivan will be our speaker. On Wednesday, we talked about the pit crew, and then it's live next week, right? That's the third Wednesday, not the fourth Wednesday, which is on, okay. And then, of course, we'll be back here on Friday again. Just a reminder, you can go to careerusa.org and click on playlist and then view full playlist, and you can see everything that Jeff has recorded and play it back, except for the things in the last 60 days or so. And there's a look at that. And then finally, for those of you in the room, please join us for lunch at Jason's Deli. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Person, 3 weeks from now, so we like to fill the room. Okay, so y'all come in if you can.
Fantastic. All right.
3 weeks from now, so what?
Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.
It's funny, interview coaches. One of the highest things.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Take care.
It's not the concepts. So it just it took, I was using these tools. I had no idea what I was doing. But now that I have an idea, it took me a